I just love that intro. It gets me bopping. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Brain Balance Live with Heather Wells. She is our amazing brain balance extraordinaire. How are you this week, Heather?
Doing well. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to
Merry
everyone out there.
Christmas. Yes, I don't know if you noticed, Heather, but I am wearing my Christmas PJs and I have on my Christmas slippers. Yes,
Those
I do.
are so cute. That's a perfect outfit for this week.
I think so. And as you said earlier, we are going to be talking about a more chill topic. Maybe we're just going to have a conversation today about quality time with our family. So This one's just kind of a grab your coffee or your hot chocolate and kind of sit and have a gab with us. So comment in the comments if there's something you want us to talk about, because Heather is going to flow on this topic. And if there's anything you want to shout out, please add it in the comments. As you guys know, Heather is a therapist, and she is our National Autism Summit speaker. And then you are a board certified cognitive specialist as well. Is that correct?
That is right. Yes.
So she is so experienced and knowledgeable, and we just love to pick her brain. Yes. So tell us, this week we're going to talk about family time.
Yes. And one thing I want to say is I'm a huge fan of the 5 love languages and also the 5 love languages for kids. There is a kids version of that book for anyone who doesn't.
I had no idea.
Yes. So I highly recommend that book. I read that book back in the mid 1990s before. Now it's just everywhere. I think I read it when it was fairly new. But there's also a kids version. And of course, quality time is one of the 5 love languages. But I want to clarify that for our kids' happiness, health development, family unity, quality time is something they need, even if it is not one of their top 1 or 2 love languages. It is a love language for all kids and critical for development. So I want to set the table there just a little bit.
Great advice.
But I think this is a great topic because this time of year, there is a heightened sort of attention focus on spending time with loved ones. But what a great opportunity to think about. We talked about family traditions and how we might edit those and have family meetings about what the holidays look like this year. But family traditions, family rituals apply year round. And so I think this is just really a timely topic. And so I want to talk about how to make sure we create the time for that, because this is one chaotic life most people live, if not everybody, I think. But also how to increase the quality. Sometimes there's some avoidance. My kids don't want to hang with me and they kind of tune me out, and why that might be happening. So kind of a twofold purpose here.
Yes, I love that. And actually, everything you're saying is kind of everything you always say comes right to my core. But being intentional about these things is sometimes hard. It's something you have to be deliberate about it. And especially if it doesn't come naturally to you, like for me, it doesn't come super naturally to me. So I have to be intentional, or I start to get lazy.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have more time than usual probably over the next several days to sit down and have a family meeting. Family meeting does not mean we're sitting around the board table. You could be sitting in PJs, having hot chocolate, and talk about, this has been a really interesting year. We have some really neat holiday traditions we do. What are some good holiday traditions we could start for the new year that we just carry throughout the year? We want everyone to have a voice, talk about why the family values. And this is not a lecture. This is everyone contributes. And we consider what the interests of the kids are. But here's a huge thing. Just like what I talked about on the disorganization show.
It's okay. We're all getting crazy with the holiday season. Like
no eggnog. I just can't talk. But I talked about, instead of a to-do list, to be a schedule builder. In other words, Wednesday at 2:00, that is when I mark off in my schedule that I'm going through all the bills, all the mail for the week, whatever it is that works for you. Because when we see a to-do list, it feels very daunting. And let's be honest, which things are easiest? Which things are the least painful? What do I most want to do? And sometimes the most critical ones don't get done. But we want to do the same thing and come up with a time that works mutually for everyone to have quality family time every week.
I love that. Barbara loved it too, by the way. She said,
Oh, hi, Barbara.
what an awesome idea. And I'm guessing that she is talking about this carrying on holiday traditions all year long and being intentional. So this is awesome.
Barbara is a rock star mama.
Amazing.
Yes. And I hope you're doing well, Barbara, you and your family. Thanks for tuning in. And so mark it off in the calendar. You honor it just as you would an appointment, a meeting. And nothing sways it. Now, obviously, we have to have flexibility. Once a year, there is this event at school and it happens to fall on that time. Common sense. But in general, that is our time and everyone knows in advance. And it gives you something kind of a common ground to talk about through the week and be creative and plan what you want to do and listen to everyone. You can even put ideas in a hat and pull ones out so that all the different kids are heard. But a lot of us do have to-do lists, even if we've become schedule builders and have them on the schedule. But one thing I want to say to free up time, because parents are overworked. One of the things to do with your to-do list is to put it into a don't, a delegate, and a do pile. Are there things on your to-do list that you do because you do it out of guilt or habit, or because Miss Perfection on social media is cooking 5-course meals and I feel like I'm not a good mom because I'm doing that?
Yeah. They say comparison is the thief of joy, and that is so true.
It is.
Yeah.
So when you look at those things, what things bring you and your family joy? Which things are just because? And what can become a don't? What is not necessary? What will happen if I don't do this item on my list?
Wow, that's a scary thing to do, isn't it?
It is. It's also liberating. I mean, you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know. I've always done this. But really think about that. What's the worst that could happen if this falls off my to-do list permanently or for a few weeks? Give yourself some grace. You also need time for self-care. What can you delegate? It's very important to be a team in 2-parent households or even with grandparents. Accept help when they give it without taking advantage, obviously.
Yeah.
Which things are energy begetting for you and energy draining for your significant other, or vice versa? Because a lot of things that one of you may love doing, it kind of peps me up. I feel good when I get this done. Someone else, it's like, that just drained all the life out of me. So when you can really think about what a strength is, not just what we're good at, it's also what is energy begetting.
It's so funny that you say that. Corey Warren does not like to clean our reusable straws, and it does not bother me one bit. And I will clean those stainless steel straws all day long. It does not bother me.
Yeah. See, that's a perfect thing. These are great conversations to have. We're going to talk a lot about communication, but it's also important for the couple to have communication like that, because some of these things may not be obvious.
Yeah.
And so think about that. And some of the delegation can go to the kids. You are not being a bad parent. If they have chores, you're teaching responsibility, independence, and done correctly. Those things can even be fun. Playing music, making it a game, cooking together. If that is your family's thing, this is about what the family values and prioritizes.
Were you like Mary Poppins? Are you just like totally like the chore's a game?
That's hilarious, because I loved that movie growing up, and my parents said that I sang everything.
See, Mary Poppins had a good effect on you. See,
there you go.
She taught you how to be happy doing your work.
There are ways to do it. It does take creativity. If your kids are dusting, make it a scavenger hunt. Hide little tokens around. There are so many creative ways to do that. Timing things that will increase anxiety for some kids, but for some, that's exactly what the doctor ordered on that.
Love it.
So think, what can you do about your to-do list? Be a schedule builder on that family time. Have a family meeting and put it on the calendar. If you have a calendar on your fridge, put it there. If you have kids going in a million different directions, there are family apps that automatically sync together, like Cozy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be that one. That's just one that I have heard nothing but raves about, COZI.
Okay.
You can download. And so as kids find out, oh, I've got this event at school, and they put it on, it goes to everyone's calendars. And they can be color coded. You can also put shopping lists and update those. Oh, they think it's something they need for the grocery list. And it automatically goes where anybody who needs to see it has it right there. And so
that would be so amazing, going to the grocery store and I just pull up my calendar and I see what everybody needs. That's great.
Yeah, no, that I have heard nothing but raves about that particular app. There are many good ones out there.
Okay.
So these are ideas for just getting the time in there in the first place.
Yes.
So, so now if we want to think about why my child doesn't want to have family time, they're resistant. One of the number one kids up to a certain age, I mean, they might be your shadow. They can't get enough of mom and dad. And that's fantastic. And by the way, besides family time, we also want one-on-one time with each child. And that means dad with son, dad with daughter, mom with son, mom with daughter. That's one-on-one. Even it's okay. Obviously, both parents are spending time with a child. And if you have, let's say that one of your kids kind of is upset with your spouse, one intuitive thing might be that the one that had the falling out needs to go spend one-on-one time with the child. And sometimes that's kind of the only option.
Sometimes that's the cause, and that's the cause of the altercation. Sometimes too, I notice that when they're feeling separated, they'll act out toward that person really because they just want love from you,
Yes. Oh, yes. That is a huge thing of all ages, but teens in particular tends to be more, but this can happen across the ages. Kids want attention, and if they can't get positive attention, they're going to get negative attention. We don't want to be the umpire that's just yelling, "You're out."
Yes,
and finding what you did wrong.
And actually, we had a question. I don't want to miss it. Barbara asked us how we do what we were doing with a child with ADHD, high functioning autism, and Asperger's. I think maybe we were talking about the calendar app, possibly when she asked that question. Do you have any specific advice for that?
Yeah, sometimes for certain kids, and this can apply also. Thank you for the question, Barbara. Kids who get overloaded with visual information, it's good to have a calendar at a glance. We want to make it not too busy because that can be overwhelming. But sometimes you need to just do it a day at a time. Some kids really benefit from drawing what they're going to do because it helps them process it and then review it the night before the day it's happening. For most members of the family, regardless of whether they have ADHD or not, it helps to have that calendar that's up for the week, up for the month. But there are extra steps we can take. And if it's going to look different, social stories that, and you can just Google social stories and it'll tell you exactly how to write those, are very good for a dress rehearsal for what days are going to look like, especially when things are different and what the expected behavior is. I might feel like this, and here are ways I can handle it. Yeah, those are really effective ideas to kind of get past that. But kids often avoid wanting to spend time with parents because whether it is true or not, and I think there's some of both, some of it's perception and some of it may be reality, that we sometimes don't understand our kids on the level we think we do. And they feel misunderstood, they feel marginalized, they feel controlled. And it's our job to guide them, but not fix everything. Sometimes they just need an ear. So it's I think we all intellectually know that we need to convey unconditional love and approval. We need to provide words of affirmation more than we need to scold and lecture. But the knee-jerk response tends to be the other way around sometimes. Yeah. And I'm not saying that the good words don't happen, but they need to far outweigh the other words, because I can tell we've all been teens. Have we been teens in 2020? No. And I mean, even aside from this very weird year, we don't know present day what it's like to be a teen. The burdens, the pressures, the technology, and understand there are even studies that show that teens sometimes avoid communication because with texting, you can think about what you want to say and type it and then rethink it, erase, reword it, and send. But when you are in a face-to-face, it doesn't quite work the same. Picking up on body language, emojis are not the same as all of the nuances of our body language, tone of voice, facial expressions. Have any of you ever had a misunderstanding over text or email because you couldn't hear the person's tone of voice? And one sentence could be taken 6 different ways.
Yep.
So a lot of these skills are not developing on the same level. And so it can be intimidating to kids, and especially kids with ADHD, those who are on the spectrum, those who struggle with anxiety, etc. There are many studies that show us that they pick up on anger faster than the average person who's not struggling with those things. However, anything that is not happiness can be perceived as anger, even monitored.
Wow.
And so we want to cultivate their social emotional development. We have to be so cognizant of that. We must be their safe harbor. That's what research calls it. We are a port in their storm. We don't say, I know exactly what you're going through. I've been a teen. We don't. We just don't. Not to mention that every person is different in terms of personality. 2020 is not the same as 2010, is not the same as 2000, 1990. It's different.
Yeah.
The pressures, so much of what kids do, if we can convey to them that the good and the frustrating behaviors they have, they start feeling understood. If our first knee jerk is not to correct them and to tell them what they should have done, what are they going to do? They're going to shut down. But if we ask open-ended questions, and we don't just do it on serious stuff, here's the thing. Family dinner time, that's a lost art. At least 2 or 3 times a week, sit down as a family, no technology, talk about your day. What was your favorite part of the day? Why? What was your least favorite part of the day? Why? Everyone answers, including parents. Parents need to be an open book. Kids must know that we have struggles too. Of course, there is discernment on what we share and exactly how and how much, depending on development and what the topic is and so forth. But they need to know that we're not Mary Poppins.
Much as we pretend to be.
I mean, I am a very, very optimistic person, but anybody who talks to me also knows, do I have frustrations? Yes. I mean, we must be real with them. And then that makes them not feel shamed by emotions that are anything less than, and know that anger is usually secondary to something else. So if they are used to us asking questions, non-threatening questions, what did you discover today? What makes you feel most creative? It can be broad questions. It can be questions about the day and everyone answers. Then when you're doing it on the deeper topics, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. It's familiar. And I'm always safe saying what I need to with my family, and I trust them and I'm connected with them. They're open with me. I'm open with them. They have an open door policy. So we set aside these times, but there's still spontaneity. There is an app called Q and U, the letter Q, ampersand, the letter U, Q and U. It has hundreds of conversation starters for teens, for younger kids, and for couples. And what a great way to spend drive time. Think about just the moments that pop up. So we do want to schedule that time, but not ignore all of the times in between and have that one-on-one time. And sometimes, I remember what I was saying earlier is sometimes if there is a bit of a disagreement that has a child upset, and maybe the parent also, sometimes the parent who was not involved in that needs to go spend one-on-one time with the child. We always want to empathize with the feeling. Wow, such and such happened. You must have been really mad. Tell me more about that. And if they're avoiding your hug, don't force it. But sometimes that's exactly what they need. Make them feel heard. We talk with our kids, not at them.
That is so hard.
Our job is to guide, not to control.
Yeah. Well, and at the bottom line, I learned it over and over again, I feel, is that you can't control them. You can't. If you believe that you can, well, there are some kids that will work for, but it's not all kids, and you're going to push the ones it doesn't work for away.
And when we talk about appreciating frustrating behavior, seeing the good in them, it doesn't mean that they're okay. But understand, if you have a teen who's argumentative, their cognitive capacity to know where they stand on something maybe there, but they haven't yet grown a broader perspective to appreciate other viewpoints. They may struggle with cognitive inflexibility, which a lot of our kids that we work with in the centers do. We see that a lot with learning disorders, ADHD, autism. It doesn't mean they're being bad. We can still provide ground rules and house rules for how we engage.
Yes.
We have those standards. Honesty is the best policy. Always do your best. but appreciate, oh man, I have a willful child. They are so stubborn. They are determined.
Yeah.
And think about how that might translate into them not giving into whims of peer pressure.
Yes.
And indecisiveness. Maybe they're in a stage where I really don't know who I am. I have all of these separate identities, who I am as a friend, who I am as a child of yours, who I am as a student, and they have not become gelled into one person. They feel like separate individuals living inside me.
Yeah.
And so I'm afraid I'm going to make the wrong mistake because I don't know which voice to listen to right now. So
Yeah.
a lot of these are stages of development. And if we can remind ourselves of where it's coming from and tell them, boy, I love how determined you are. And you know what that tells me about you? You're going to be so strong and stay true to who you are when people try to pressure you.
Do you ever say, wow, you are a born leader, but it sure makes you hard to lead?
We don't want to say but, because but a lot of times means erase everything I just said. But what you want to say is, you know what, that you have such strong opinions, and what that tells me is you are going to stand up and stay true to who you are when people pressure you to do things you know aren't right. Now, what we need to work on is the way that you express your opinions and on listening to other people. And you know what? I used to struggle with that when I was your age too. And here are some things that help me. What do you think would help you? That kind of thing.
I'm just going to need you to come to my house and just have the conversations with me.
Or earbuds. I speak into your ear.
Yes.
I know this is easier said than done. I've been a parent in your shoes, so I know that it's easier said than done. Know that if you are in a heightened state, that is not the time to have a difficult conversation, because it will come across. You might have more bigger gestures that feel threatening to a child, even though you're not threatening them. Your pupils will be dilated. They will notice that there's a different look in your eyes that you literally can't control. It's physiological.
Yeah.
You're breathing. You might be reactive because you're a human being.
Yeah.
It's not wrong that would be the case, but it is not a great idea to have those conversations in that time. We talk about giving kids settling time. Parents must have that also. But communication is so important. You can make it so fun, like would you rather games.
We need a parenting words of affirmation from Heather to play in our earbuds.
But give them praise about character traits that you see they possess. Find things to be. I love that you found this interest that you're passionate in, and man, you ran into this roadblock and you kept going. That is such good grit. And that's going to carry you so far. Even when you're frustrated with them, even if they're grounded, even if they were disrespectful, this is a separate event. We still acknowledge that so that they can appreciate we all have strengths, we all have struggles. So the biggest thing is, even when kids act like they don't care about your approval or they'd rather be with their friends than have your time and attention, they still need it. And that is their anchor. Give it to them, even when they don't act grateful for it, because it matters. It makes a difference. And it means when they are out with their friends, they are much less likely to do things to earn approval and attention in ways that would mortify you.
Yeah.
So communication is so important. But would you rather be able to fly or be able to read people's minds? Why? It can be silly things, but always these open-ended questions that get them thinking, that grow their critical problem-solving skills. So, and then what to do? What are they interested in? If they're in, we talk about limiting screen time. That doesn't mean zero. If they're into a game, delve into their world, play it with them. When they get to teach you something, that, man, my parents really love me. They don't even care about this game. They care about me. They're going to know that even if they don't articulate it.
Yeah.
What's a hobby that y'all could do together that they're interested in? So it's really about, and you play the video game, but also play a board game. Hands on, get some sensory input around the table while you're talking. But just know that we also lose critical information about what is at the hearts of our children and the core of their struggles if we are talking to them while we're on a screen.
Yeah.
We miss the look in their eyes. We miss the quivering lip. We miss the body language that tells us how they're really feeling when they sometimes cannot put words to it. Listen, reflect back what they said. Sometimes fill in blanks they're not able to. If they only know mad and sad. I know you feel mad. I wonder if it might be a little bit of irritation. Give them 2 more words for the emotion that might more accurately portray it. When kids have words for emotions, they start actually experiencing them on the level that matches how they feel. If I only have the word mad, my behavior tends to be a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 because I don't know what irritated means. Our words, our language give us a cognitive representation from which we function. So words matter.
This is blowing my mind right now because there are days where I say to Corey, well, he's escalating himself. I'm not even saying anything that is combative, and he's escalating himself. And I wonder if it's exactly what you're talking about. The only emotion that he's super familiar with is anger. And so he just gets himself there because he feels something he doesn't understand.
Yes, that is what happens. There is research to back this. If I only know the word sad, I am sad on a 10. I'm not a little bit glum. But when I know the words for it and you help me understand what they mean and you read books about characters feeling these emotions and talk about it and how they handled it, how do you think about what they handled it? Would you do anything different? What would you do if you were in that situation? That's a dress rehearsal for when things happen. When they have emotion language, their behavior changes. Not to mention that 78% of kids in behavioral intervention programs at schools have language delays, some of which are not clinically significant enough to qualify for school services. It has to be major for them to qualify in the school. So if they've been through those tests and it didn't come out that they qualify for those services, it does not mean that they have the complex language, the social emotional language to get them through life.
Yeah.
That tells you something. Almost 4/5.
Yeah. You only qualify for assistance if their learning is suffering most of the time. Like that's what I found.
Yes,
and
it has to impact the classroom.
Yeah. If the test scores are fine and the learning is fine, the behavior almost doesn't matter in regards to help.
Right. And I would argue, and I agree with you, and honest, that is, I would argue from a school standpoint, not yours. I agree with you that, are we sure that's not actually impacting school?
Right.
Not maybe the grade. It is impacting the school experience.
For sure.
And there are ways around that. And by the way, ask for not just standardized measures, but informal measures. Therapists will know what that means. I used to do those all the time when I worked in the schools. Ask for informal measures because informal measures can get them qualified and they will know what that means. It doesn't just matter what a number is on a standardized test score.
Okay. Informal measures. And who do we say that to?
The best person to say that to on this topic would be a speech language pathologist.
Okay.
Yeah. I know we need to wrap this up, but just think about, why is my child not wanting to spend time with me? Part of it's development. Don't take it personal. But are there any things I'm doing? He's already facing all this pressure out in the world. Am I unintentionally conveying pressure, or am I doing anything he could perceive as pressure, as not a safe place for him?
Yeah. I love the open-ended question. I feel like that it opens so many doors for us. That sounds like.
Yeah, because if we don't do that, how's your day? Fine. How'd you feel? I don't know. If y'all have heard those responses before, it's time to pull out would you rather. It's time to pull out tell me, instead of yes, no, or things that even allow for that kind of question. Tell me something you've learned today. Did you meet anybody new? Tell me what y'all did at recess, something that involves a longer sentence. Share stories about yourself as well. The more you share with them, just like with a friend, the more a friend opens up to you, the more you feel safe with that friend and the trust is built and you share more with them. The same thing between parent and child.
Yes. I love it. And see, you said we didn't need a pencil or any notes, and I feel like I should be taking some.
Good thing this is recorded.
Yeah.
But everyone, if you don't have any questions, I do have a couple of books. I've already shared the apps while we were talking, but on the slide, a couple of books that are really good. The 5-Minute Moms Club, this is good for dads too, but 105 Tips to Make a Mom's Life Easier, and Good Enough is the New Perfect. I love this. Finding Happiness and Success in Modern Motherhood. Again, good for dads also, but Good Enough is the New Perfect. Y'all have heard me say done is better than perfect, and hashtag that. But we are not trying to be When in a word, it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks. What matters is what your family values and prioritizes. What matters is you and your self-care. And growing children who are healthy and well-adjusted in family time and one-on-one time will do that. Be an open book, an open door, non-threatening. Get to know your kids. Next time you're talking to them, think, what's something about my child that I don't know? And I'm not even aware that I don't. We're not aware of what we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. There are things about your children you don't know. There were things about my kids I learned every day that we have to be looking for it. And that includes the body language.
Yes. I love that. And so the 5-Minute Moms Club and good enough is the new perfect. Okay. So we're going to be writing that down in our notebooks.
And that's really it. I mean, this is a great time. Think about family traditions. What are you going to set up for the new year? What a great time to have that conversation with your kids.
I love that. I apologize. I muted myself because my daughter was FaceTiming me. Like she doesn't know what I'm doing right now.
How dare she? Come on, Izzy.
I am busy learning things.
I'm busy becoming a better mom for you. Why are you calling
right.
me?
Jeez Louise. Barbara, thank you so much
Merry Christmas.
for being here.
So good to see you. I love your picture too.
Yes.
With your festive background.
So festive. And we also have a slide that shows your different locations. Should we throw that up there? And tell us about this information here. And tell us about the Hidden Churn one more time.
Yes, these are the 4 locations: Katy, Mansfield, Southlake, and the Woodlands. And there are the email addresses for them and the phone numbers. We now have a phone number up for the Woodlands because it's opening in January. And then follow me on the Hidden Churn because I offer daily doses of things I did right and wrong as a mother and things I've learned as a professional. And then I will not be here on Thursday with Dr. Aspie because it's Christmas Eve. And I figure everyone's going to be spending time with their family and did not want to encroach on that quality time.
Nope. We're going to be practicing all of the tips you gave us on Christmas Eve, in front of the tree, hopefully, right?
Thank you, Barbara. Yes. And I hope you all have just an amazing holiday time. Recalibrate, rest. You deserve it. Look back on what you've done this year because it's phenomenal.
Yes.
So many hats: parent, teacher. How do I work from home? And I have children who all have different needs.
Yeah.
But take time for yourself. It is not selfish. Self-care. You deserve it. And it makes you a better spouse and parent.
Love it. Thank you so much, Heather. Have a beautiful, beautiful holiday yourself.
Thank you so much. You too.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.